Okay, today we were playing a game on Junkertown. We were playing Moira the entire way through, and there is no SR for today's game because it was a placement game. And the current team composition is Winston, D.Va, Doomfist, Hanzo, Moira, and Lucio. So basically a dive comp. Moira Lucio is a little bit of an unusual combo of healers, mostly just because it doesn't have Ana on it, if we're to be perfectly realistic. Also, fuck, Doomfist. When's the last time we saw Doomfist? Doomfist in 2019? Unbelievable. Other than that, not much to say. Let's start the game. So we've got to attack Junkertown first, which I find to be an incredibly laborious process, and it turns out they've got a Bastion as well. We chucked the Orbit in, but unfortunately they've got a D.Va, so that didn't really accomplish very much. Ooh, little bit of lag right there. So we would be fully justified in using a Healing Orb right here, because... Go back a little bit. Both the tanks are currently really hurt and in a very confined location, and if we really want to make sure we get full value out of it, we can aim it a little bit like so that it bounces between the walls rather than going straight down the alleyway. And it would just heal both our tanks up a lot faster than just holding left-click over them. And given that there's a Bastion in the enemy team directly above us, we do want to be pretty healthy as quickly as possible. So, can't actually heal through barriers anymore. Fun fact, Moira can't heal through barriers, so they took it away from us. So, we actually can't heal anybody right there because they're on the other side of the barrier. Now the barrier is gone. Now we can heal them again, but we've pretty much done it at that point. We've managed to kill the Bastion. All's well. Is that person actually healthy still? Yeah, they're getting in the mech. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Further damage orb, try and help finish him off a little bit quicker. Get the regen on him, good stuff, all over, easy peasy, Bastion's fucking dead. Now, unfortunately, the payload has not been getting pushed this entire time, because everybody's been busy diving on the Bastion. We did get the Bastion, though, so that's good. He hasn't changed off Bastion, so that's bad. Look, he's over there right now, setting up over there, apparently. We did, like, go really far back, and I get it, we're standing on the objective right now. Fair enough, we want to touch that, get it moving, all good. Thing is, us and Lucio are the ones that are currently here. So our team's off way ahead of us doing that with no healers present. So one of us should be over there. Lucio would be better to be over there, to be honest with you, but like... Just because he's a little bit more mobile than we are, but one of us really should have been over here to begin with, seeing as, you know, otherwise they've got no staying power. So we're trying to kill this Moira right here. We should put the... I know we want to kill this person quickly. We want to kill them before they can actually, like, use Coalescence, basically. But those people over there are currently getting lasered right now, so we should at least put the regen on them before we start trying to suck the other Moira. We've got Coalescence built up, and that's pretty cool. The enemy team, like... They're up to some foolishness, essentially. I don't like doing this, just basically because it's scary to do this through the dragon. Mostly because of how far away it was from us. We could have walked a little closer to the dragon and then done that, and we wouldn't come out the other side close to dead. And that would be an improvement over coming out the other side of the dragon close to dead. For, I'd assume, fairly obvious reasons. So we've still got Coalescence. He's changed off Bastion. Fantastic news. Don't have to worry about killing Bastion anymore because, God, how tedious. So I don't like doing this. I don't like fading up to people who are in critical health to try and heal them. Because if you fade up to somebody that's in critical health, something usually happened to that person to put them into critical health. And if you fade up to that person, you're putting yourself closer to the danger, and now you don't have your escape. Which is a big deal, because Moira is most vulnerable immediately after using Fade. Particularly if you get to, like, higher SRs. If you use Fade badly, you die. You immediately get clapped, because they go, oh, she just used her only escape, so now she's got the orb to try and keep her alive in the regen, so just jump on her face, dead, because you can't fade away. I'm more of a fan of just throwing the healing orb after them. If I have to fade up to them to try and heal them, I'll throw the healing orb instead, because the orb will get there faster than me and I didn't have to physically go into that dangerous location. so I prefer doing that. Also worth pointing out that since we have Coalescence built up, we are more free to just kind of use the orb to heal people. Because the reason to throw the damage orb at people as much as possible, which I'm a big fan of doing, I'm a big fan of the damage orb, but the reason to do it is the same reason that you would do so as Reinhardt with Fire Strike. It's to build ult charge. So once you have Coalescence built up, the damage orb becomes significantly less good unless it's going to kill someone. Because otherwise it's just going to do a bunch of chip damage to them, which isn't getting you anything because you have your ult built up already, and then the enemy healers get to regen it, so they actually get ult charge off of us using the damage orb at that point. So, if you've got Coalescence built up, it's more, you can then just save the orb to use for more specific things, because we aren't just trying to build ult charge anymore. Which is a big draw of Moira. She can build ult charge extremely fast, because she gets to be doing healing and damage at the same time, so she gets to double dip in this regard. So, self-destruct's happening, very unfortunate. 2 people on our team are already dead. So, oh no, 3 people on our team are already dead, actually. Didn't know Hanzo died, because I just saw those 2. So, then this person dies as well. 4 people on our team dead. We should be leaving at this point, because this fight's done. There's no way we win over here. No point chucking the damage orb right there, because nobody over there is going to die. And we've got Coalescence built up right now. Our team is regrouping, because if we had it right now, this would be a better time to use it, actually. Because she's about to lose her mech right there. So if we chuck the damage orb right now, this would be a lot better, because we can see that Winston's over there, tasing the Mercy right now. Baby Diva's about to pop out of her mech, so also very soft, and right in front of the Winston who's currently tasing people. So chucking the damage orb through here right now. In fact, if we had the damage orb right now, we could chuck the damage orb, use Coalescence, and probably kill both of these people ourselves, or with the use of Winston as well. So the use of Winston is if we just deploy him on the field like a Pokemon. Well, I mean, you know, he throws himself in, and there's an orb there when he arrives, so it sort of works out. So we could have gone for a much more aggressive play right there. We didn't have our orb at the time. It came up, like, pretty soon after. Like, yeah, if we just did it right now, that's still basically good enough. We do want to heal the Diva, so, you know, that's fair enough, but could have just also killed the enemy team, which is also pretty good. In your email, you said that you play Moira very aggressively. Ha 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 ha. I'm a very aggressive player. You see how my immediate thought is, alright, first Coalescence of the game, what are we gonna do? We're gonna try and kill 2 people with it. Good times. So, the reason I've gone back now is we've heard Junkrat use the tire while this has been going on, and it hasn't exploded yet, and we use Fade. Oh no, here comes the tire, and then we die. We gotta save Fade if we hear the tire getting deployed, because we, especially as the main healer on the team, are gonna be priority 1 for the tire, so we've gotta save, yeah, well fuck indeed. We gotta save Fade in that situation. I don't know if we didn't hear it, or just didn't think about it, or thought it exploded. Either way, we need to save it for that. So, we have been sitting on this Coalescence for a while, which is a little unfortunate. It's an ultimate you want to get out there as soon as you possibly can, because the appeal of having a fast-charging ultimate is the fact it charges fast, right? So that means we have to actually use it fast to get value out of it charging quickly. So Coalescence is one you want to just use as quickly as possible. You can use it just like as a fight starts or right before a fight starts, because it's both aggressive and defensive, heals and does damage at the same time. So ideally, best case scenario, you're hitting 11 people with it. All the people on your team and on the enemy team. Not realistic to get frequently, but we are looking to hit as many people on both teams as possible, so using it as early in the team fight as possible is best, because that's when we're most likely to be hitting as close to 11 people as possible with it. And you can use it just before a fight starts to try and make something happen. I do this frequently, where a fight's about to happen, but both teams are kind of pussyfooting around. I'll just use Coalescence, because then that forces the enemy team to play more defensively while I'm doing that, or try and stop me, so play very aggressively suddenly. And then my team, because I'm using Coalescence, are more inclined to go in, because they're getting the healing effect off of it as well. So you can use it similarly to, like, Sound Barrier, when you use it to engage, basically. And that's perfectly fine to do with Coalescence. So this is basically just, like, way aggressive to try and go through this hallway right now. Like, we've got to walk through Orisa, because we tried to fade. No, we didn't try to fade. We didn't even fade. We just died very suddenly. It is dangerous to try and walk our way through this hallway right here. I think it's because we're trying to get to Tracer more than anything else right there. We were sucking them, but then it looks like we were trying to get to Tracer. We're not allowed to do that, basically. That hallway is too scary to walk through right there. And we're the main healer. We gotta make sure we don't die, because we're the most important member of the team. So for the healing orb right there, I'm honestly not very excited to do that. I mean, I'm not very excited to use the healing orb in general, but particularly not right now, because there's only 2 people wounded over there, neither of them are in critical health right now, and Lucio's over there as well, so he can heal the Hanzo, and D.Va's in a weird place to hit with the orb, so I don't want to use the orb right there, to be honest with you. So, don't need to keep spraying him. That's going to be enough regen right now. The regen's on him for a long time, and Lucio's in the in the healing aura right now as well, so didn't actually need to keep spraying them as much as we did. This might seem like an incredibly nitpicky thing, but resource management is the biggest thing with Moira, basically. It's easily her most skill-testing aspect. So, just like spraying it right there, you know, that's time it spends not regenerating, basically. And it regenerates agonizingly slowly, don't get me wrong, but... So here's where we throw the damage orb at this guy, because this guy's out of position. We want this guy dead as quickly as possible, so we just throw the damage orb just to try and kill this guy right now. Because he's got a long way to go to get back to safety, and we've got a long time to suck him. We want to minimize time spent sucking and time spent killing. So just chuck the damage orb at this guy. He would have actually died if we chucked the damage orb at him, because Mercy only barely gets to him in time anyway. So with the extra damage orb in there, it would have killed him. And then we were like, ah, fuck, and threw it too late. If the guy's out of position, 200 health target out of position, chuck the fucking damage orb at him and start sucking him, because you'll kill him reasonably quickly. You know, you're not gonna match Tracer's DPS or anything, but if they're out of position, you throw the damage orb at him and start sucking them, you'll kill him fast enough. So Torbjorn's doing this, Lucio did that, which is, you know, and then, you know, McCree did that as well, so... So I don't want to use Coalescence right now, because I know half our team is dead, so even if the Coalescence gets a lot done, most of our team isn't here to capitalize on it. And it resulted, oh god, we can't do that, that's too aggressive. The whole enemy team is here right now, and... like, realistically, we don't kill that guy anymore. Mercy's tethered to him. We've got the damage orb coming up. He's got Biotic Field, Mercy tethered to him. We don't kill that guy anymore. This is a way too aggro use of, Fade. They don't react properly, so we get to survive, but that was too much. This is all too much right there. We died in the end, which is what we deserved to do a lot sooner, but we died in the end. That was just way too aggro. I didn't want to use Coalescence at all, just because half the team was already dead, so it's unlikely to accomplish very much of anything. It started accomplishing some stuff. You know, we killed one guy, another guy got really low, but half our team was not there, so it didn't really amount to anything. So, half our team being a dive, our team being a dive comp, well, no, that guy's changed to McCree, so no, half our team being a dive comp is also correct now. Is a little bit awkward for Moira, because Moira tends to have difficulty keeping up with a dive comp, and she's not very good at affecting fights that are on high ground. So our team comp's a little bit unfortunate for us right now. I'm just going back to look at health, basically. We would be justified to use a healing orb right now, just because there are some people over here that need healing and a fight's about to break out on the point, so we would be justified, but the damage orb is the more ambitious use of it, and I personally am a big fan of the damage orb, so that's okay. Here is where we do definitely use a healing orb, though, because this damage orb is not going to accomplish much of anything. It's only going to be hitting Orisa, and Orisa's tethered to by Mercy right now. So this damage orb is not going to accomplish very much, except getting us some ult charge, and doing truly minimal amounts of chip damage to her. Instead, though, if we throw the healing orb over here, we'll be getting a lot of value out of healing the D.Va and the Lucio on the objective. And D.Va right now is very close to losing her mech, which we would like to avoid if possible. So the healing orb would be better to use in this situation. We have also stopped healing her, and like she's still about to lose her mech, which is still a pretty big concern to us right now. If somebody, like, Moira's good at healing people quickly, but if you need to regenerate, like, a truly large amount of hit points on someone, like a tank, don't be afraid to just use the healing orb as well to get that person healthier quicker. Because the fight's still actively happening right now, and we need to bring D.Va from close to dead to full. If you throw the healing orb at someone, you're healing a lot of damage very quickly. So don't be afraid to just chuck the healing orb at a tank as well to heal them faster. If you gotta do, like, a lot of healing. And the other thing is that, like, just holding left click over them the entire time as well, it's a resource saving thing as well, because holding left click over her for a really long, our resource just goes so far down so quickly. This isn't as big of an issue right now, because we also have Coalescence ready if we really need to heal people and we're out of resource, but we've also got Coalescence, so we don't need to worry about using the orb to build resource. So we can just use it to heal somebody up fuller. Or fuller faster. What fucking awful diction that was, good heavens. The English language is truly fucked up, though, and that will be my excuse. And it was a really good example I had earlier of the English language being really fucked up, where someone asked a question, me and another person answered at the same time, I said yes, and the other person said no, and we both meant the same thing, despite saying the opposite meaning words. And that's how fucked up the English language is, because it was like, didn't somebody do X? And I went, yeah, and they went, no. And it meant the same thing in context. And that's how you know English language is really fucked up. That's what happens when your language basically just drags other languages into the bathroom, beats them to death, and then just, like, rifles through their pockets for spare nouns and adjectives, basically. So, anyway, fight's still happening right now. Winston jumped in and, like, immediately died again, which is not a very optimal use of company resources, but it's what he did. So we're trying to rebuild our resource right now. Another thing with using, if you want to use the healing orb more frequently, that gives you more time to suck the enemy team to regenerate your resource as well, which can be very beneficial, because then the healing orb can be taking care of it while you're healing people. People are still wounded around us right now, so we can just, like, this is a situation to just put the regen on people, which is never really a bad thing to do, just, like, putting the regen on people now and then, because, like, we're still fighting right now, so the chip damage will get healed up. And people are not full health right now. Lucio wasn't allowed to do that. Like, Lucio's fucking stupid, basically, to have done that, but, you know. And then right there, somebody's, like, critical health next to us, we didn't notice, and now they're dead. Yeah, it's, this is, I don't like using Fade like that. We are, I guess the intention is to use Coalescence right now, so that's the reason we were okay to use Fade right here. The thing is, I don't want to use Coalescence right now, because 2 people on our team are dead, and the fight isn't really going particularly well. Coalescence is a very bad flanking ultimate. Moira in general is not very good at flanking people, so I really don't like using Coalescence like that. It's also, going back to what we said earlier, ideally we're hitting 11 people with Coalescence, right? We're only hitting a couple of people on the enemy team with Coalescence right now, which is not as efficient. A lot of using Coalescence is, like, honestly trying to arrange yourself in the fight so that you're hitting as many people with the Coalescence as is possible. To illustrate, and sometimes it's not necessarily intuitive. To illustrate my point, let me draw an excellent diagram for you of the second checkpoint on King's Row. So we've got the bend, basically, right here. Got the alleyway over there. Oh, it's fucking beautiful. It's fucking beautiful. So this is the second checkpoint, King's Row, right? So so the attack, it goes through like so. What most people will do, playing Moira, and we actually watched a video like this, is the defending team will be like standing here, and Moira will use Coalescence back here. The defending team will then go forward to contest the payload, like around here, right? So they'll go forward. The Moira will stay back here coalescing up this street. The thing is, though, the attacking team, being on the back foot, is retreating back this way. So Moira's only really hitting her team with coalescence if she's standing back here. So it is instead better, if your team starts moving forward, to stand in this alleyway over here, because then your coalescence will be hitting all of your team, who are contesting the payload, and you will be able to hit the attacking team, which is retreating backwards as your team pushes in. And that's the idea with coalescence. We're trying to find the angle where we can hit as many people on both teams as possible, because it's a very lucky ultimate that it gets to do healing and damage at the same time. So we really want to get both of them. People like to fixate on the fact that Moira is a healer and therefore is meant to be healing, which is definitely true. You are a healer, so you want to be healing people. But you also have to damage people. This intrinsically is part of Moira, that she also damages people. And this is why Moira is my favorite healer to play. She gets to do it all. And she's the kind of hero that is like, if you're really into like very small improvements and optimizations in your gameplay, there's a lot of some fucking Origin, god damn it. If you're into, like, small improvements and optimizations, there's a ton of shit you can do with Moira, where you optimize your cooldowns, you can optimize your geometry with the orbs, you can optimize your positioning always, your damage versus your healing, your resource management. There's a lot of tiny little ways you can improve at Moira, through very, like, seemingly very small things. So I like Moira. She's a very active feeling hero to me, and that's why I'm a big fan of Moira. So we did try to chuck the damage orb in right there. The reason I'm going to nitpick this one is just that D.Va's really right there. So there's a high chance of it getting eaten. And then we don't get any value out of the orb. And not getting any value out of a 10-second cooldown is pretty tragic overall. So here we're trying to suck Mercy to death. That's fair enough. Our team are still fighting over to the right-hand side of us right now. So I would like to throw a healing orb over there, where our team are fighting, just so that if we're going to try and suck Mercy to death, either we chuck the damage orb at Mercy, well, she's going to not stick around there, so we'd throw it more sort of like this way, so it would bounce off this wall and go off towards this way, ideally, though it can hit the pipes right here, you know. Ideally, anyway, so if we're going to chuck the damage orb, she's, like, going to go this way, because she's not going to stick around down there, so then we'd throw it like that, it hits her as she's jumping out and going back to her team, and then, you know, hopefully we kill her faster. Or throw the healing orb over there towards our teammates, so that while we're trying to suck Mercy to death, they're still getting healed while we're doing that. So either it depends on the route you want to take, but I would have preferred to throw the healing orb over here, mostly because hindsight's 20/20 and we can see Winston was getting killed off screen as well. But we are the main healer, so, you know, healing people. My goodness, I feel like we've been here for 1,000 years talking, and we're only 8 minutes into, well, nearly 9 minutes into this 21-minute video. 22-minute video, basically. It's okay. There's between round stuff, so it's not actually that long. I've played a lot of Moira. Moira is one of the heroes I'm most confident talking about because I have a lot of experience playing Moira. So right now we're sucking the bad men, which is understandable. Winston jumped in way too far ahead of people, as he's been known to do a couple of times so far. So, oh, we did chuck the orb. Okay, I was going to say small optimization, chuck an orb before you use Coalescence, but we did. So, again, positioning while using Coalescence, though. We want to be hitting as many people on both teams as possible. We're standing at the front of our team right now. Coalescence has a truly ridiculous range. So we can just back up behind our team right now and be hitting our team and their team. But we're sitting really far forward, so we're only hitting their team with it. We want to be hitting both teams with it. That's the ideal. And a couple of people actually died, and it's possible we could have kept them alive. I'm also more of a fan. I'm a big fan of the damage orb. I mean, I have the fucking graphic, right? I'm a big fan of the damage orb, but if I'm about to use Coalescence while a team fight's already happening, I prefer to use the healing orb. Just because it's really hard to kill anybody through the healing orb and coalescence healing, because it's a very, very big number. So if a fight hasn't started yet, I prefer to throw the damage orb into the enemy team, then use coalescence if I'm using it to engage a fight. If a team fight's already happening, I prefer to throw the healing orb and use coalescence, because then it's just very hard for anybody to die as long as I'm hitting them with both of them. Because it's a lot of healing per second. I don't know the exact number, but it's like 200 health per second. It's a lot of health per second. Also, another thing with coalescence is it's counterintuitively kind of the point you're most vulnerable when you're playing Moira, because the regen's nice, and the movement speed's nice, but you can't do any of Moira's fancy tricks to try and keep herself alive. So in a weird way, it's kind of the most vulnerable you are. So you kind of want to be further away if you can do it, because it's got a fucking long range. You can be standing really far back and using coalescence. So, we've ended up isolated from our teammates right at the start here, and that's not very good because it's very difficult for us to get up there quickly, because we've got to go, like, really out of our way. So, we go over here. We go all the way over here to do this, and we don't need to be, like, this fancy with it, right? Like, we don't need to come all the way over here to do this. We could be standing up with our team and just chuck the orb at them as the door is opening, and that'll accomplish the same thing, but we're standing with our team already, rather than doing that and now thinking, shit, I have to get across the street to get to my teammates. And this is a time where we definitely don't want to chuck the damage orb at the enemy team, because we can't get to our team right now, because we're on the wrong side of the street. So now, we should save the healing. We still want to build ult charge as quickly as possible, that's true, but we're isolated from our team. So if they need healing, and, like, that guy needs healing right now, we can't get to him without putting ourselves at risk, so we could just chuck the healing orb over there, and then suddenly it's less scary to try and get over to save this guy. Definitely don't do this. That guy's going to the health kit, and we talked about using Fade to get to people in critical health earlier. There's a fucking bastion coming down this street right now, I think. We really don't want to do this, because now we're again on the wrong side of the street relative to our team. Oh god, here they come. We're isolated from our team. We got, like, D.Va's never gonna kill us, but this is time spent occupying us, right? And our whole team is dead, basically, by the time we get over here. We just faded back onto the point. Basically, the best thing we could do by that point was die quicker. But some very unfortunate positioning, and then decisions led to more unfortunate positioning, which just kind of stacked on top of each other, and we ended up dying. It was very tragic for all parties involved. Now, these two people are looking like they might die by the time we actually get back, and yep, that's exactly what happened. So we've basically lost this point. We don't want to be here anymore. Honestly, don't even heal them, because they're going to die. Bastion's tank form right now, we just shouldn't be here anymore. Honestly, if people are going to die, don't heal them, because all that does is stagger them, because you've kept them alive longer than they had any right to be. It's put you in more risk, and it's given the enemy team more ult charge, because they got to heal, they got to do more damage, because you healed them as well. It's the same reason why if you're Roadhog, and you know you're definitely going to die, you don't want to take a breather, because then you just prolong your death, and give them more ult charge. Same concept if you're playing a healer. Trying to keep someone alive when they're, like, almost certainly going to die often results in just fucking it up more, to be honest with you. So we want to minimize that. Again, big fan of the damage orb. I love it. Great stuff. These two people are very wounded right now. So if we're going to use an orb, we should try and keep those two alive instead. But this fight's not exactly looking like it's going to work out either. So we could go to previous advice and assume, they're dead. I don't want to heal them because I don't want to prolong their suffering, right? So, we've lost this objective as well. A lot of staggering is happening, a lot of staggering keeps happening, and this is how you lose payload maps very quickly. I also noticed that we muted the match chat partway through there. Fucking hell, group up. Very solid advice. Perhaps could be phrased better, but correct assessment of the situation. Mad staggering's happening, and it's just letting them snowball straight past us. Not the end of the world for Junkertown, because this final checkpoint is honestly like 90% of the map, in my experience, but... So, they're all dead. Oh, attack visor's happening. Yep, use healing orb to heal self. Yeah, we still got time, we still got time. We don't really want to be this far up, to be honest with you. This is scary, right now. Hammond's gone in way too early. Oh god, we were so low when we started using Coalescence. Oh god, hopefully he doesn't get a direct hit. Hanzo got a direct hit instead. Again, we could be further back right now. Coalescence got a very fucking long range. If I'm to be realistic with you, this fight doesn't look particularly optimistic. But we could be a lot further back and therefore safer. Just by virtue of distance from these people. Yeah, you know, yeah. This is why staggering is bad. This is like the whole reason we're in this situation right now, is all the staggering that's happened. So we've got some Stally boys out here. This is definitely use healing orb to heal Hammond time right now, because we're not really concerned with building ult charge right now. We're concerned with stalling the objective. I was like, you know, big fan of damage orb, and then like every other sentence I'm like, use the healing orb instead. We've just found ourselves in a lot of situations where the healing orb is better than the damage orb right now, especially when we're trying to stall. Ended up not mattering. Genji managed to get out and use Dragon Blade to kill the remaining heroes at this point, and he died right there. Yeah, we killed Mercy basically by accident, so that feels pretty good. And just like that, we've managed to actually stall the enemy team. Genji's changed to Widowmaker. I don't support that, but it's what he's decided to do. I'm a thirsty boy, so obviously I'm gonna drink coffee. Some motherfucker always comes up to me and is like, coffee dehydrates you. It doesn't fucking... Just because coffee dehydrates you doesn't mean it's gonna balance out the cup of fucking water that it's in. You know, whatever. I've got water. Don't worry. It's fine. I'm a thirsty boy. So, Bastion, still on the enemy team. We've stopped the pirate ship, so that's good, at least. This is the actual pirate ship, because I'll remind everyone that just calls Bastion and Orisa on the payload a pirate ship. That's not a fucking pirate ship. Do you know why the one on Junkertown, specifically, is the pirate ship? Because that's the one that's got the fucking treasure on it. The fucking, like the Dorado one, that's just got the EMP on the back of the truck. That's not a pirate ship. Where's the treasure? Unless those hubcaps are made of fucking gold, that ain't a pirate ship. I'm sorry. This is the only map you're allowed to call it the pirate ship on. That's the one with the treasure. It also has a shit ton of C4 under the bottom of it, but it's the one with the treasure on it. So, she's currently dying. You know... I understand, but now I get greedy instead. I just feels like, at this point, it's gonna feel like, oh god, every orb I use, he just says to use the other one, doesn't he? At this point, I'm gonna be like, half the enemy team's dead. I'll be a little greedy right now and just use left click on her and throw the damage orb over the enemy team instead, because there are less things alive now that could actually finish Widowmaker off, and if she dies, it's not really the end of the world, because they have to regroup right now anyway, and we've got the spawn advantage, so, yeah. It's gonna feel at this point, it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter what I do, he says to use the other orb. Which is true, basically, isn't it? This is a much too aggressive use of Fade. I don't like doing that, because we're unlikely to kill that guy, and it just put us at more risk. There's nothing else to do with our time, we might as well just, do that. We can pick up a health kit right now, just to get up to full health, because there's a health kit in the room behind us, and we'd be back at full health. Ideally, Zenyatta heals us, but you know. So I'm going back right here, because Zenyatta's in critical health right now. And he was only on screen in critical health for a very short period of time, but I saw it. He was in critical health. You gotta look everywhere. You gotta take in the whole thing. So the damage orb's the more ambitious one to use right there. The healing orb's the safer bet, just trying to keep her alive while she escapes. But the damage orb is like, hey, I want to kill that fucker. So, you know, depending on how ambitious I was feeling, I could see myself doing either or. So again, we want to be hitting both all people with it, so we could have been, like, now we're trying to finish this guy off with it, so okay, it's kind of scary to do because he's Hanzo, but, you know, that's fine, whatever, I'll do that too. We could just be sitting a little bit further back right now, and be hitting members of our team as well. We do want to be hitting the enemy team, because we're using it more aggressively right now, but we could just be a little bit further back, and be hitting some people on our team and the enemy team at the same time, and then we come up here to use it to finish Hanzo off. That's fair enough, but we could have been a little bit further back and been hitting more people with it on our team as well. And then used it for the more aggressive kill Hanzo maneuver, which I'm all for, honestly. You know, it's scary because he can one-shot you, because he fires fucking trees at you. If I got hit by a tree, I'd be upset, to be fair. But I'd do the same thing. Because he's going to be panicking and just, like, spamming. I'll roll the dice and assume he's too bad to actually hit me with the arrow while I'm using Coalescence. So, Reinhardt managed to land a pretty good Earth Shatter. We throw the damage orb in to try and help capitalize on it. Fair enough. Baby Diva's over here. Finish her off. Ideally, we could stagger her a little bit more, but that kind of depends on, you know, if your team is going to work with you as well. Baby Diva, like, Diva's the easiest person to stagger on the enemy team, just because she has, like, a built-in stagger herself. Diva's players will stagger themselves frequently, so you can just prolong the death on Baby Diva and buy your team a little bit more time, but that'll depend on what your team does as well as what you do, so not always feasible. I would throw a damage orb up there after the Winston right now, because Winston actually almost died. He's very close to death right now. So, and he's going into that very confined location, so I would throw a damage orb after him to see if it's going to finish him off. Might not, because, you know, his teammates are pretty close to him, but I'd give it a go, just because killing Winston right there would be really nice. We ended up killing Diva instead while she used self-destruct, so hey, I guess we got somebody in the end, right? Winston's actually still really low health. This is where we throw a healing orb to try and keep ourselves alive, if this is what we're going to do. I'd rather try and back up right now. Like, what I'd do right now is healing orb back this way towards safety, and we do chuck it, like, at this wall. Reason being, it's curved, so it'll bounce that way towards our injured teammates as well. Just base level Moira thing. You probably know this, but just in case, don't throw it at the ground. Or throw it up if you can avoid it. Because as soon as you throw it down or up, like if you throw it down, it's going to bounce on the floor and then immediately go up into the sky, and that's it. You're not getting any more value out of the orb. And if you throw it up, then that's cutting out the floor middleman. You just throw it up and it's gone, not doing any value. So try and always throw it horizontal if you can. Just general thing. So I'd throw the healing orb over there, trying to hit this wall so it bounces over to my teammates, and then I fade backwards with it to put some distance between me and them right now. Because we've got, like, a long way to go on the track still at this point, so it doesn't we don't need to worry about, like, super stalling right now. We can just back up, regroup with our team a little bit more, and then try and put a more concerted effort into stalling the point on regrouping, rather than doing what we're doing right now. If we're gonna commit to this for one reason or another, we wanted to throw the healing orb way sooner. We also could have chosen a better angle than this. I am gonna nitpick the geometry. It's it's another thing with Moira that's pretty big deal, is getting as much efficiency out of the orb as possible. So we threw it down slightly, which is not great, but we could just also choose a slightly better angle. Sometimes you have to assess these things very quickly in the moment, right? But instead of throwing it like that, we could throw it at this wall, like basically right next to us, going for like ting, and then it'll bounce off like that way. And basically we're trying to keep it bouncing next to the objective as long as possible. We could also chuck it like over at this wall and try and have it bounce back across the point again over there. Or, this is curved up slightly, so if we aimed it like so, like fairly close to the ground, it'll start going up, but at a more gentle angle because of the geometry, and we can try and keep it bouncing around the objective a little bit longer. Because we want it to just bounce around us as much as physically possible, basically. Because throwing it like that, it's gone into the room over there, and that's it. We're not going to see that orb anymore, and we got fairly minimal value out of it overall. So, right now, our team... Oh, no, Fade's on cooldown right now. Never mind. I was going to say, our team's regrouping. We could fade back and use Coalescence, but it was on cooldown, because we used it over there. Really, we should have just backed out a lot sooner than that, though, because we didn't need to be stalling it over there yet. We still had time for our team to regroup. So, our team is still regrouping anyway, so, you know, Bastion's just used configuration tank. We don't know exactly where he is, so that's very scary. Basically, I want to tuck into the right side a little bit more, just to make sure I don't get blasted out of nowhere by Bastion. So we could have used Coalescence by now, basically. We might be waiting to do so because we're trying to throw the orb before we use it. No, we didn't even throw the orb before we used it. Nope, never mind. Yeah, we could have used it sooner than that. I thought we might just be going, like, greedy mode, trying to get the orb in first, but no, we ended up not using it anyway. So, we'd be justified in using Coalescence, like, basically right now, because Hammond's fighting the enemy team. Our team is mostly regrouped at this point. We're fighting on the objective. We won't be hitting, like the maximum amount of people with it, but both our tanks and another person are fighting on the objective right now, so using Coalescence right then would have been justified. We use it now. Junkrat's already dead at this point. This is too much. Junkrat's already dead by this point. I'll finish that thought first. Junkrat's already dead at this point. If we used Coalescence a little bit sooner, he might have survived. He died to Bastion, so, you know, jury's out on that one, but he might have survived. And right now, we want to be hitting people on both teams with it, you know, so we're, you know, going, like, right up on top of the Mercy like this. With the thinking is probably Zenyatta's using Trance, so I don't need to worry about healing my teammates, but we actually go so far forward, we're not in Trance anymore for a while, and now we're advancing on a Bastion as well. Transcendence is ending behind us right now, so we actually need to worry more about keeping our teammates alive at this point. So basically, we're just going mad far in with Coalescence when we could be sitting further back and hitting, like, both teams with it and getting more value out of it. That's the thing I've noticed the most, is that basically we aren't using Coalescence as optimally as we could, basically any time we've used it. And I think that that's one of the things that people fuck up the most with Moira, one way or the other, is they worry about only using Coalescence for one of its uses. Like, if you go on the subreddits, they'll fucking bash on and on and on about how the healing from Coalescence is more than the damage, and that's true on a mathematical level. It heals more than it does more it heals more than it does damage. The thing is, it does both. The goal is to hit both teams with it. People will fixate on one side over the other almost universally. You will see people only use it to do damage, which is what we've been doing in this game. And you'll see people only use it to do healing. You'll want to do both. You want to get both sides out of it. So we can't heal through barriers. There's a lot of barriers between us and Hammond right now, unfortunately. We don't want to walk through the barrier either, so, you know, this is very awkward situation we find ourselves in right now. We're gonna get killed right there, so we gotta touch the objective or lose the game. You know, life is difficult like that sometimes. And, you know, you hate to see it because they only barely are about to win. So maybe if all that mad staggering hadn't happened on the other two objectives, we wouldn't be in this situation, right? Maybe we could have just won the game comfortably instead of having to stall right now. Genji's managed to kill some people, so that's very nice. We're trying to suck this person to death. We haven't used an orb in a while now. The orb's out. I've been looking at the orb cooldown. It's just been sitting for a while at this point. But we do have to worry about healing our teammates. You know, our teammates are still here fighting right now, so we should throw either a damage orb or a healing orb right now. We do have to worry about healing our teammates. We basically haven't looked at them for a while because we've been trying to suck Mercy to death. Which is a noble goal in life, to be honest with you. But, yep, that's fair enough. We want to try and kill her before she can get the res off. Unfortunately, she does manage to get the res off. We've almost got Coalescence built up. If you've almost got Coalescence built up, you're better off trying to heal people rather than do damage, because you'll get more ult charge off of healing them. But then, you know, if you're just, like, a little bit further, you're just a little bit away from Coalescence, you want to get to it as quickly as possible. Healing does better. But we've managed... Fucking Christ on the cross. I like how we had to go back to add that part in. We backed up to put that part in. We've managed to win the game, miraculously enough, considering how well that defense was going for a while right at the start. Great job, team. We got there in the end. So the thing that stood out the most in this game was definitely Coalescence. By far the thing that stood out the most was we just weren't getting as much value out of Coalescence as we could for most of these fights, because we want to get both sides of it. You know, I found something to nitpick on basically every single time we threw one of the orbs, so we're doing good on that, for I found something to complain about basically every 10 seconds, which was very optimal from my perspective. So you can tell I play a lot of Moira compared to other heroes. You go watch like a Mercy video, it'll be basically the same length as the video itself. And then you go to a Moira one, and this one's close to twice the length. So you can tell which hero I play, can't you? So anyway, thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. If for some reason you enjoyed the video and managed to make it all this way through, please like the video and subscribe for more content of middling quality in the future, and I hope you found the video helpful.